For mariners, the life raft is the ultimate insurance policy, a last-ditch effort against the ocean's indifference. It is the bright orange promise of survival, meticulously folded and sealed, waiting patiently for the moment of catastrophic failure. We are taught to trust it implicitly, to believe in its flawless deployment and unwavering buoyancy. Yet, this unwavering faith is often built on a foundation of laboratory tests and ideal conditions, a narrative carefully curated by an industry that, for all its dedication to safety, has a vested interest in maintaining an image of infallibility. The uncomfortable truth, however, is that in the chaotic, brutal reality of a sinking ship in a raging sea, the life raft frequently falters, revealing critical vulnerabilities that can turn a desperate escape into a tragic final act. This isn't a sensationalist claim. It's a sobering conclusion drawn from accident investigations, survivor accounts, and the often ignored data that expose the chasm between theoretical reliability and real-world performance. The life raft industry operates under a complex web of international regulations, primarily the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, which sets stringent standards for commercial vessels, and various ISO, International Organization for Standardization, norms for recreational craft. These certifications mandate rigorous testing protocols, drop tests from significant heights, jump tests to simulate boarding, stability tests in simulated waves, and extreme temperature cycling. The goal is to ensure that a life raft can withstand the rigors of deployment and provide a stable platform for survival. However, these controlled environments rarely replicate the dynamic, unpredictable, and often violent conditions of a genuine maritime emergency. 3. One of the most critical points of failure, often overlooked until it's too late, lies in the inflation mechanism. Life rafts are typically packed into compact, hermetically sealed containers and rely on a compressed gas cylinder, usually CO2, to rapidly inflate their buoyancy chambers. The deployment sequence is simple. Pull the painter line, which activates a firing pin to puncture the cylinder. Yet, this seemingly straightforward process is fraught with potential pitfalls. Corrosion and material degradation. Life rafts, especially those stored on deck, are constantly exposed to harsh marine elements, intense UV radiation, corrosive salt spray, and extreme temperature fluctuations. Over time, the integrity of the container, the painter line, and even the CO2 cylinder itself can be compromised. Internal corrosion of the cylinder, a weakened painter line, or a seized firing pin can prevent the crucial instantaneous inflation when it's most needed. Packing and servicing errors. While life rafts require periodic servicing by certified stations, typically every 1 to 3 years, human error during repacking is a documented issue. Improper folding or securing can lead to the raft snagging on itself during deployment, preventing full inflation or causing it to inflate upside down. Even minor misalignments can impede the rapid, symmetrical inflation vital for immediate stability. Deployment, challenges in chaos. In the maelstrom of an emergency, deploying a life raft is rarely a calm, textbook procedure. If the painter line is not fully extended before inflation, the raft can inflate too close to the sinking vessel, becoming entangled in rigging, the propeller, or the collapsing superstructure. If the raft is not properly secured to the vessel before inflation, a strong wave or current can sweep it away before anyone can board, leaving survivors stranded in the water. Even if a life raft successfully inflates, its performance in rough seas can be terrifyingly inadequate. While stability tests are part of certification, they often fail to capture the true violence of breaking waves and confused seas. In real-world scenarios, instability and capsizing. Many rafts, particularly smaller, lighter models, are inherently unstable in large, breaking waves. They can be easily capsized, throwing occupants into the frigid water. While some designs are self-righting, this mechanism can fail, or the occupants may be too injured, hypothermic, or exhausted to assist in righting the raft. Windage and drift. Life rafts present a significant profile to the wind, making them prone to rapid drift in strong gales. The small sea anchors provided are often insufficient to significantly slow this drift in hurricane-force winds, making rescue efforts a desperate race against time and distance. Water ingress and hypothermia. Despite enclosed canopies, water can still enter the raft, particularly through the entrance or if the raft is repeatedly swamped by waves. This constant exposure to cold water, even in relatively warm climates, can lead to hypothermia, a major killer in survival situations. Material degradation is another silent threat. The fabric of the buoyancy tubes, typically coated nylon or polyurethane, is constantly under stress from environmental factors. While manufacturers specify service intervals, these are often minimums. A raft, stored in a hot, humid locker for years, even if within its service date, may have compromised seams or fabric. Inspections during servicing can miss microscopic damage that becomes catastrophic under the stress of inflation and wave action. Cases have been documented where rafts inflated successfully but then slowly deflated due to pinhole leaks or compromised seams, leaving survivors in the water or forcing them to manually pump air to stay afloat. 10. The industry's reluctance to openly discuss these failure rates stems from a complex interplay of factors. Firstly, it risks undermining public confidence in a product that is, by its very nature, a last resort. Secondly, the cost of manufacturing truly indestructible life rafts, capable of withstanding every conceivable real-world scenario, would be prohibitive, making them inaccessible to many mariners. Thirdly, blame for failures is often conveniently attributed to improper maintenance, deployment errors, or the sheer extremity of the conditions, rather than inherent design limitations. This allows manufacturers to maintain a narrative of reliability, even when real-world data suggests a more nuanced and often grim picture. Consider the statistics. While precise global figures on life raft failures are difficult to obtain due to the sensitive nature of accident reporting, incident reports from maritime authorities like the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, MAIB, in the UK or the US Coast Guard often highlight issues with life rafts. While total failures leading directly to loss of life might be statistically low, a significant percentage of deployments involve some form of malfunction, partial inflation, capsizing, or equipment failure that severely compromises the survivor's chances of rescue. These aren't always total failures, but they significantly reduce the margin of safety. What are your thoughts on the gap between certified safety and real-world survival? Do you believe the industry is transparent enough about the limitations of life rafts? Share your perspective in the comments below. The limitations of certification are a crucial aspect. While SOLAS and ISO standards are robust, they represent a minimum baseline. A raft that passes these tests might be adequate for a commercial vessel with a highly trained crew and strict maintenance schedules, but less so for a recreational sailor who deploys it once every 5 years for servicing and may face a chaotic, single-handed deployment in a storm. The tests don't always account for the human factor under extreme stress, the impact of a boat sinking rapidly, or the specific dynamics of a breaking wave in a force 10 gale. The very act of deploying a life raft is often a desperate, adrenaline-fueled struggle against time and the elements, a scenario that no laboratory can truly replicate. Furthermore, the survival equipment pack inside the raft, while standardized, can also be a point of failure. Flares might be damp and fail to ignite, water sachets might be punctured, or the repair kit might be inadequate for the type of damage sustained. The industry focuses heavily on the raft itself, but the contents are equally vital for long-term survival, and their reliability in extreme conditions is often taken for granted. 14. The grim reality is that a life raft is a piece of equipment you hope to never use, but when you do, your life depends on it. The industry, while striving for safety, operates within economic and practical constraints. The secrets it keeps are not necessarily malicious, but rather the uncomfortable truths about the limits of technology and human engineering against the raw power of the ocean. For mariners, this means understanding that a life raft is not a magic bullet. It is a tool, and like any tool, it requires proper selection, meticulous maintenance, and a realistic understanding of its capabilities and limitations in the face of true maritime disaster. Ultimately, the most effective life raft is the one that is never deployed. The best defense against its potential failures lies in proactive seamanship, proper passage planning, diligent boat maintenance, continuous weather monitoring, and a commitment to avoiding situations where abandoning ship becomes the only option. But for those moments when fate intervenes, a critical, informed perspective on the reliability of our last line of defense is not just prudent, it is essential for survival. The industry may not want you to know, but the ocean will teach you, often with a brutal finality. Have you ever had to rely on a life raft, or know someone who has? What was your experience? Your insights could be invaluable to others. Share them below.